that I have more inside me, that when I am tired and frustrated and want to go home, I can still run faster because I've done it. But now I have a desire to do that. I have a desire to run faster. So in my final race, I can beat this guy and I can know in the end I won.
What's up, champions? And welcome to another champion training where each month we talk about the principle from the wonderful book, Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich. And for the month of February, we're talking about the second principle on faith. Before we get into that, this is Champion Circle, a professional organization which helps entrepreneurs and small business owners to be able to reach their goals in 90 days. And if that's something like you, make sure you jump over and join us. Now, we have a great lineup today of speakers because as it comes to the principle of faith, there's many ways you can take it. From when if you grew up religious, that side of faith, to in business when it comes to just going out and believing in yourself. So these three speakers that we're going to bring on, we're first going to bring over the founder of Champion Circle, Mr. Jon Kovach Jr., who's going to talk to us. Then I'll have the privilege to share my thoughts and experiences, and then we'll end with the amazing Ian Stermer. So without further ado, let's jump over to sharing with Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich. Mr. Jon Kovach Jr., the founder of Champion Circle, go ahead and take us away.
Rabbit holes. Have you ever been down one? I love rabbit holes. They are so much fun. They scratch the itch of the brain of curiosity, and they lead you down a path that you did not know you would reach. Sometimes you can anticipate them. Sometimes you realize, I think I know where this is going. But other times, you have no idea what you're in for until you reach the end. Well, I've been down quite a few rabbit holes, especially recently, because I am an avid Napoleon Hill fan and reader and student of the works. And one of the most recent rabbit holes took me down a comparison between two books that couldn't be in each other's universes, but yet were written around the same time, around the same ideas, and the ability to help us see just what our adversaries are planning based on our human habits. The books I'm talking about are one, Outwitting the Devil, which was not released until the last decade due to the family fearful that the information published in the 1930s and 40s would hurt or ruin or bring condemnation to their family. So this book couldn't have been released or been in the hands of anybody. But simultaneously to that, our loved literary art and just one of the best writers of all time, C.S. Lewis, in a completely different world, a different continent, a different country, across the seas, writes something called the Screw Tape Letters. And this becomes a very, very parallelistic and very similar, synergistic is the word I was looking for, parallel, synergistic combination to something great. And I loved the idea. So I have spent a lot of time recently going down the rabbit hole of learning, researching, and understanding why these two similar concepts, although completely different and unique to their own writers and authors' penmanship, it was a powerful, powerful rabbit hole. But let me ask you, like, what rabbit holes have you been down recently? Because I go down these rabbit holes of curiosity. And one I want to share with you today is also surrounding the rabbit hole of Napoleon Hill. And in his book, Think and Grow Rich, okay, he leads off that one of the first, it is the second step to riches, but one of his first steps to riches is desire, which we've covered exclusively here at Champion Circle. And in order to use desire to plan out your goals and what you truly want, you also need a few other steps to follow through on. Well, the second step is faith. And as I was reading Think and Grow Rich for the first time, I'm reading through his book, and he goes into a concept called the confidence formula. Now, on a chapter that really defines faith, and for anyone who has religious beliefs or any type of faith, really can resonate with some of the original descriptions and definitions that he creates. But he goes into this transition in teaching something called the self-confidence formula. So this spun me down the spiraling rabbit hole of why would Napoleon Hill teach the confidence formula for self-confidence in his chapter on faith. And I want to read to you that confidence formula, share an example, and then share with you how you too can make faith and confidence a combination of superpowers to help you accomplish your goals. Sound about right? All right. The self-confidence formula by Napoleon Hill. Step one, or first, is to share and have the belief that I know that I have the ability to achieve the object of my definite purpose in life. Therefore, I demand of myself persistent, continuous action towards its attainment, and I here now promise to render such action. All right, in English, I have the ability to achieve the objective of my definite purpose in life, period. I have the ability to achieve my goals. Number two, the second step to the confidence formula is I realize the dominating thoughts of my mind will eventually reproduce themselves in outward physical action and gradually transform themselves into physical reality. Okay, basically, I realize that my thoughts can become an outward physical action and become reality. All right, the third step to the confidence formula is I know through the principle of autosuggestion, which is the third step to riches, any desire that I persistently hold in my mind will eventually seek expression through some practical means of attaining the object back of it. Okay, so long story short is I know that through the principle of autosuggestion, which is the next step to riches, my desire will persistently create itself. All right, and then the fourth step is I have clearly written down the description of my definite chief aim or my definite purpose in life. So just by writing down constantly, consistently, and repeatedly your definite aim, what direction you're going, what your purpose is, what your desire is, you will create it. And then finally, the fifth step is I fully realize that no wealth or position can long endure unless built upon truth and justice. Therefore, I will engage in no transaction which does not benefit all whom it affects. In English, essentially, I realize that wealth does not become part of my life until I choose to do only the things that will bring it, right? Only the things that will cause it, okay? So those are the steps that Napoleon Hill teaches in his chapter on faith, and they're called the self-confidence formula. And just to recap all of that, those sounded and felt like affirmations, personal statements, and commitments. But if you think about it and you put them under the light and the microscope of your own faith, your own beliefs, your own hopes, and your own desires, you might see the comparison here. And confidence is something you build. It's something that you know deep down. It's something that becomes ingrained in you because you, over time, repeatedly ensure that that is your truth, that is your belief, that is your expression. And because it is your truth, it becomes incredibly solid so that you can trust it. I'm down this rabbit hole and I'm thinking, what does this have to do with riches? What does this have to do with me overcoming the challenges of life and truly being someone who can think and grow rich? Well, Napoleon Hill made it so simple. And as you expand out of the rabbit hole and you really look at this from a bird's eye view, from a God's eye view, and you look at this and say, wow, having a direction to go is one of the principles of attaining a goal. If you have a desire such as, I want to be a great motivational speaker, or I want to be the next Olympic gold medalist, or I want to be the president of a company, and whatever your goal might be, without having a belief that you can actually be that or become that, can truly limit your ability to make it happen. Pretty simple, right? Well, let's go a little bit deeper, okay? Let's dig this hole a little bit deeper. Now that you have that belief, now that you have that vision, have you written it down? Has it become something that not only you see, but that you believe, and that it becomes something that's easy enough for you to achieve? It really is simple. It's not easy, but it is simple. So as you continue to work towards a direction, a goal, let's call it a northern star, because as you head down the path of your northern star, you get closer and closer and closer to that star. Well, if it weren't for that star, you wouldn't have a direction to go. So confidence became an easier understanding for me to understand that my faith is built on confidence, something that I truly understand, I truly believe, and I know that people around me have similar faith in other things. And that's what makes this world beautiful, unique, and diverse. Is our faith is a direction, a northern star that we picked, a desire that we'd like to go in that direction of. But each of us have our own desires, our own dreams, and our own directions. And as we're crisscrossing in life on our own paths, the confidence that we've created of that direction makes us so unique, and it makes the directions of our souls and our hearts just that much more interesting. So as you connect and meet with people, life becomes a lot more interesting when you know exactly what other people are doing. I love this quote, and I added this in the chapter that I wrote on the principle of faith in our own book called The 13 Steps to Riches. And in this, I quote a quote by Walter D. Wintle, which Napoleon included in his book Think and Grow Rich. But it's part of a poem. And Walter Wintle says, "You've got to think high to rise." Okay? You've got to think high to rise. Life's battles don't always go to the stronger or faster man, but sooner or later, the man who wins is the man who thinks he can. And when you build confidence around the belief that you can win, you have now tapped into a greater level of personal faith and direction. And that star that you're chasing, that direction you're heading, is a lot brighter and the path is more clear. So, to those listening today, today is a really important opportunity for you to strengthen your faith, strengthen your belief. And the way you do that is to build confidence around the direction you're heading. Because if you can see the destination and the path pretty clearly, you too develop a unwavering faith that will truly take you there by just being on this journey. And I believe this. I know that it's something that you can do. And in order to do it, all you have to do is to continue to work towards that belief. Yes, you can open up Think and Grow Rich. And yes, you can use these affirmation statements to overcome any lack of confidence. But I tell you this today, confidence is built over time through repeated, consistent action. And anyone can do it. So can you. I'm Jon Kovach Jr. Thank you.
Jon, thank you so much for your training. And it really comes down to that. If you believe it, if you think you can do it, you can achieve it. We appreciate Jon for giving us that reminder. Now I have this wonderful opportunity to share with you some of my experiences and thoughts when it comes to this wonderful principle from Napoleon Hill on faith. Let me ask you, if God, fate, the universe answered your prayers tomorrow, those wishes and dreams that you wanted, if all of them came tomorrow, would your actions today prove that you were ready for it? I remember so many times when I'm like, I want this. Man, I am laying in bed, I'm looking at the ceiling, looking at the designs and being like, oh, that's cool, that's cool. But then ideas come in my head. I'm like, I wish, I dream, I hope for these fantasies of I wanted a family, I want to be an author, of I want kids. all came into my head. And then I started working towards it and I got them, but then bigger wishes and bigger dreams started coming. It was like, I want a mansion. I want to be able to have my own just kind of like zoo farm type thing. I know my wife likes dogs, cats, hedgehogs, horses. She wants the whole litter of everything. Kind of like a Noah's Ark in the background, you could say. She wants all of that. I want all of this. But really, if it comes to it, if it was answered tomorrow, if we got all of it, is what we're doing today. The actions that we are taking matching our beliefs. And it's so interesting, at least for me, I wish it wasn't true, but there's a lot of times where my actions just aren't fitting my belief. I might believe that there's something that I'm just excited about, in which I'm ready to be the next Tony Robbins. But if all of a sudden I got like a million people around in a Zoom call and get the authorship of just millions of people getting my best-selling book, I don't think I'd be ready for success to come on. I don't think my habits and the way that I carry myself will be able to get there. And it comes back to the principle that I love from Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich, which is the principle of faith. Now, in there, the first principle is desire. You got to want something. If you don't want something, there's no reason to change. But then you go to faith, which is the second one. And when I break it down to the simplest of things, it comes down to two, which is when it comes to faith, it is the belief that you want something, and then the action, be able to match it. With faith, you bring those two together and it creates the ability to make the results occur. I love this story. There's a story of two farmers who are living next to each other, and they have just gone through a famine. And they are praying for rain. And as they're praying for that rain, they're just like, I hope this rain comes. I hope that everything that goes on, I hope that I get the plants I need to be able to make the money, to be able to take care of my family. All of them are just praying so hard. But then after that prayer, one of the farmers goes back to his house, sits in his chair, and hopes that the rain's going to come. He's like, man, I hope. I prayed for God to put this in my life. It's going to happen. The other farmer, after he prays, then goes to his fields and starts to plow, starts to plant the seeds. With the little water he has, starts to water it to start. Which one do you think is showing faith? Both of them prayed. Both of them wished. Both of them had the dream. They wanted something. Well, if the rain came, if the prayer was answered tomorrow, which one would get the result? It's the one in which planted the seed. It's the one in which prepared the ground and prepared everything for it to work out for them. Now, of course, the other farmer, after the rain came, then he could plant the seeds and then he could be able to get it. But that's not really what it comes down to. Because opportunities, unlike in this story, opportunities come and go. And we're only prepared as much, or I guess we're only able to get that result as much as we're prepared. Because success happens when opportunity meets preparedness. And opportunities always come, but are we prepared? So it breaks down into the belief and the action in which we do. It's when we have the thought, are we shortening that gap between that thought and the action? When we believe in something and that we want it, are we actually moving forward to get it? So my challenge for you, for the individual who is on the other side of this, who is listening to the vibrations of my voice, I want to offer you this challenge, which is whatever that dream, that wish, that northern star, that why, that vision, that finish line that you're aiming towards, whatever that is, you can say your prayer, you can meditate on it, you can have as much heart and wishing that you want. But then afterwards, I want you to pick one thing today that will help you get there. Doesn't have to be complicated. It can be as simple as you need it to, as long as you do it, as simple as you need to. If you're working on your health and you're just like, I want that 6-pack, do a push-up. If you're like, I want to be on that statistic of 95% of CEOs read 50 or more books a year, well then start reading. Grab a book from the bookshelf and just read chapter 1. If you're wanting to level up the skill of whatever it is, but let's say sales, if you want to be a better salesperson, you're not going to become a better salesperson just by listening to trainings. You're not going to get better at sales just by looking at a manuscript, but you're going to get better by saying the words out loud. You're going to get better by making that phone call. You're going to get better by simply being messy in person. So be messy. Do the messy things. Don't be perfect. Just progress. If it's hard for you, that's okay. Just do as simple as you can. But pick one thing that you can do today to get you toward that wish, that dream. Because we here as champions are combining the belief that we have. And man, as a champion, we have a lot of belief and we have a lot of hopes and dreams. And as entrepreneurs and business owners and people who want to be those 1%ers, we want a lot. And it feels like we are never satisfied with what we have. Let's match that with the other side of let's take our car, the car of life that we are in, take it out of park and start driving forward. No more planning. No more thinking you need more preparation. No more overanalyzing and getting analysis paralysis, but simply take your car to park and do the next thing. And I can promise you, because I've done this over the last decade, I have specifically done this. And this is why I love teaching to people, because it's just the consistency is so much more precious and able to do that get the actual results that people want for success rather than these perfection opportunistic moments. It's what you do in private that then shows up in public. And so in private, let us start doing a little more. Let us be better than we were yesterday. Let's just do one thing. And that's going to be enough. I appreciate each of you letting me share my experience on this wonderful principle of faith. I'm very excited. I love talking about Think and Grow Rich. So thank you for the opportunity. And I want to share with you this wonderful individual. I don't own him. Not mine to share, but this wonderful individual as our final speaker here talking about the principle of faith, Mr. Ian Stermer, who's going to talk about how desire and experience equal faith. Ian, take your turn.
Thank you. Okay. I want you to think back long ago and envision this. Many years ago, I was actually in high school and I ran cross country. And I was right at the top of the bottom half of the team. So I was a pretty mediocre runner in that. But we had this one practice. We were doing like half-mile intervals. So we'd have to run several times of a half mile. We do a break, then we do the next one. And the coach looked at me and said, okay, Ian, you lead the next group and you're going to do it in such and such a time. It's been a long time. I don't remember the exact time, and I don't want to embarrass people who may not have done as well as I did if I throw something out. Or maybe embarrass myself if you've done a lot better than me. But I looked at the coach and said, I can't do that. I'm tired. I'm sweaty. I'm not motivated. He said, no, you are leading the team in this interval. So I went and I did it, and I beat the time that he wanted us to do. And he looked at me and said, see, I knew you could do that. I said, oh, no, I can't do that. It was, it's not going to work. He goes, no, I want you to lead the next one as well. I said, I can't do that. So I led the next one, and I beat that time again. He said, see, I knew you had it in you, that you could do that. And I said, I can't do it. I can't do it. because of a couple of things. First of all, I was kind of dumb. Second of all, there's a difference between faith and knowledge. I had a knowledge that I could do it. I had proven that I could do that. Absolute knowledge. But I still didn't believe it. I still didn't have faith. And I know that sounds kind of weird, but I'm going to give you one more example. And don't be too grossed out, but I think there's other people who might feel the same as me. I have an absolute knowledge, without any doubt whatsoever, that daily flossing will help the health of my teeth. However, every time I go to the dentist and they say, "Are you flossing every day?" I say, "Well, not every day," because I don't have the faith in it. Even though I know it's real, I know it will help me. I don't have the faith. And where that faith comes in is really what makes it an action word. And it's built on the desire that we have for something. Let me jump back to that cross country practice. I didn't have a desire to do great in that practice. I was tired and wanted to go home. I didn't have a motivation. I didn't have a real reason. And I thought the sooner we get over the practice, the sooner I can go home and rest. Not a championship mind, I admit. But without that desire, even though I accomplished it, I didn't believe I could replicate it. I didn't believe it was something I could continue doing. I didn't have a change of my mentality and suddenly jump up to a better runner than I had been before, even though that knowledge was there. Faith can be something which can propel us forward, or it can limit us and hold us back. Henry Ford famously said, "Whether you believe you can or believe you can't, you're right." And there's so much truth in that. So many times, sadly, in my life, I've believed I can't do something, even though I've proven to myself that I can. And it's held me back. If I had realized that in cross country, that I could do that earlier, I would have achieved a lot better. Instead of being at the top of the bottom half, I might have been at the middle of the top half. Maybe I would have been even better than that if I had had that faith. But without the desire for it, even a knowledge is not enough. Now, I just said knowledge is not enough, but knowledge is still important, and experiences. Okay, they're still in there. Don't push those aside completely. Faith starts to grow through small steps, small things we do. We set a small goal. In cross country, when I was running it, I would set a goal that was a little better than I was doing, and I would accomplish that. And that let me think I could do a little bit better than that, and I would accomplish that. And I would take small steps and get a little better and a little better, because I believed from those experiences that I could be a little better. Wish I had believed I could be a lot better. I didn't learn that till later on. But those experiences teach us the truths that we can do better, we can accomplish things. But if we don't have a desire driving behind those, we're not going to truly learn what we can accomplish. We're not going to get that belief of how good we truly can be, the accomplishments that are really there for us, because we're going to limit ourselves to a 10-second improvement in our best time, or maybe 20 seconds, not the 1 or 2 minutes that later on I realized I could accomplish, that I could do more. Again, I'm a late learner, so hopefully you can learn from some of my experiences vicariously rather than making all the same mistakes I've made. One of the joys of being old is I can share my mistakes with other people and let them know that they can do better from me. But I want to fast forward about a year to my final cross-country meet, last race I was going to have. And towards the end of that race, about 2/3 of the way through, I guess in about 2 miles, had about a mile left to go. And I was more tired than I was in that practice because I had already been giving everything in this race. I was tired, sweaty. I knew that when this finished, I would never, ever have to run again unless I wanted to. But at that time, I looked just in front of me and I saw one of my rivals who was always pretty close to me in cross country as far as our abilities. And he was just in front of me. And I thought, this is my last race ever. And this is my last chance ever to beat him. Now, I know from experience that I have more inside me, that when I am tired and frustrated and want to go home, I can still run faster because I've done it. But now I have a desire to do that. I have a desire to run faster. So in my final race, I can beat this guy. And I can know in the end, I won. And now I had a desire to do it. And I had a knowledge based on experience that I could do these things. And that equals a faith, which allowed me to take action and reach deeper inside and run faster and push harder. And okay, I don't want to leave you all in suspense about this. I got a really good time in it. I did well. I was really proud of how I did in the race. Whether I beat him or not, really not the point of this story. It's the fact that I did better. I reached down and I accomplished much more than I thought I could. Because faith is desire plus experience, gives us a faith that allows us to take action and accomplish things. And when your desire outweighs your fear, outweighs your regret, outweighs your negative feelings, faith allows you to grow. And I'll close with that. Thank you. I'm Ian Stermer.
Ian, thank you so much for sharing with us. Man, just the desire, the wanting to have something mixed with your experience, actually going out and doing it, creates the faith to be able to not only think, but to grow rich. And with that ends this awesome. Thank you for our speakers today for sharing their wisdom and insights. And thank you for you, the listener, for sticking with us. If you haven't heard about us before, jump over to mychampionscircle.com to where you'll be able to find the links to everything that we're doing in the Champions universe. Also check out our YouTube channel, My Champion Circle. It'll have this training as well as other trainings, not just about the principle of faith, but about desire, about automation, and all the other 13 principles that Napoleon Hill talks about, as well as other shorts and videos and everything else that's going to help you to be able to be the champion in your life. It's great to be able to have you here. Thank you, and we'll see you on the next one.